चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भगवते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पश्चात्तदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So thank you everyone for joining with us for this Shravan Maas special learning the integration of Bhagavad Gita. And this 20th session, we will cover all the 18 chapters in summary. The purpose of this class or this seminar or this yagya is to basically provide certain psychological understanding of how to approach Bhagavad Gita and figure out the ability to integrate from verses to verse, chapter to chapter, and connecting Bhagavad Gita to other shastras, because they are not isolated, right? So therefore, when we study Bhagavad Gita, the background of Bhagavad Gita, the PPT is also there. Once you are ready, let me know.
Yes, no, I'll just share.
Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita is not simply a book in itself. It's a part of the library of Sanatana Dharma. And for that matter, every Shastra, when it is understood from its own context and connecting the book, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad, to other Shastras also, then the integral understanding, complete understanding, deeper understanding will prevail to us. There is a tendency to make Bhagavad Gita into that one book, right? Oh, we have a Bhagavad Gita just like there is the Bible and Quran. No, this comparison does not work, because Gita is not the book. Gita certainly is one of the most powerful, profound concept, but it defeats the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, defeats the purpose of Sanatana Dharma when we make that the book. Alright, it is part. So therefore, Gita, again the next principle is Gita is not life denying. It is basically life driven. It is driving us to come closer to the life. So in our presentation, we will try to prove the concept of what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Why are we studying Bhagavad Gita? How to study Bhagavad Gita? We will try to do that in the today's discussion. 2 sessions will be introduction. Then next 18 days or less, the chapter wise, and then we need 1 or 2 sessions for conclusion of what we are going to study, what we studied. Right, so we'll begin with the slide. Can you start the slide, first one? Yeah. Now, what is Gita? Now, Gita is a discussion based on the principle of life and its reality. Yes, certainly we know historically Gita was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And when Arjuna was in confusion in regards to his duties, not his faith. Arjuna had no problem in regards to believing, worshipping, loving his Ishtadev. But he got into the confusion about his duties, right? So therefore, the way Sri Krishna presented Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, it is focused on the principle of life and its reality. Life means here, what we see, what we hear, what we interact. Therefore, Gita is a Vyavahara Shastra with the principle of Adhyatma in it. It's a Vyavahara Shastra. It is the management of life with the inherent qualities of Adhyatma. Next. Now we will see here, Krishna is speaking to Arjun. There are apparent contradictions, right? Here he says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. He says one should learn to tolerate the happiness and distress, and we should tolerate them just like the summer and winter season. 2.14. And that same Krishna, apparently, he is telling Arjuna, avachyavadamscha bahon vadishyanti tavahita nindasta tava samartyam tato dukkataram nukim. In 2. Somebody's mic is on. Please, can you mute? So Krishna is telling Arjun, in 2.14 is giving something. 2.13.6 is saying, oh, people will speak ill about you. And when they will do ninda of your samarthya, your ability, there is nothing greater pain than that. Apparently, it may sound contradictory. All right. So, next one, I'll come back to the purpose, why Bhagavad Gita. Then again, atatvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsasi. Krishna is saying, if you do not perform the duty of a warrior or a battle, then what will happen? You will incur papa, right? And then that same Krishna in the 2.38, he says, Sukhe dukkhe same kritva labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsasi. Here he said, you will experience pain. Here is saying pain or pleasure, same kritva, labho jaya jayo, whether victory or defeat, tato yuddhaya yujyasva, you should still fight. You will not incur any kind of sinful activity. Next one. Ishtan bhogani vo deva. Again, here we see, I was sharing this, we will come to when we study how to study, but understand the conflict here. One of the greatest conflict what people have is about Devata Puja. Should we worship or not? In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and more verses like that, wherein Krishna very strongly speaks about worship of the Devatas. Antavantu phalam tesham tad bhavat alpamedasham devan devo yojayanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. He said people worship kshipram hi manushim loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. That for the temporary things people approach the devatas or similar kind of beings because they fulfill it fast. But then again in the 7th chapter Krishna is speaking like this. But in the 3rd chapter Krishna said, Ishtan bhogan vo deva dasyante yajna bhavita tair dattan apradhyayabhyo ye bhungte stene vasa. Right? That if you do not offer Yo Deva, in the previous verses, he said, he talked about wherein Krishna explains when you offer the puja to the devatas, they will offer us, what will they offer us? They will offer us, all the resources of life. Because they offer the resources of life, then we will have a nice life. In fact, Krishna is ordering this to do, but in the 7th chapter he is contradicting. So which one should I choose? This one or that one? Right? Next one. वीतराग भय क्रोधा मनमया मम उपाश्रिता भवो ज्ञान तपसा पुत मद्भावमागता. Here Krishna is assuring Arjuna, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Bahavo Jnana Tapasa. Arjun, you know what? Many in the past have achieved perfection. Bahut log, many, Bahavo Jnana Tapasa. And that same Krishna in the 7th chapter is saying, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye Yatatam api Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Vetti Tattvataha. He's saying that very rarely people achieve perfection. Right? You will find many contradiction in the Bhagavad Gita in regards to when you read them without understanding the purpose, its flow, its connectivity. That is what we are trying to do it. Next one. Again, here we see Naiva tasya kritenarto na kritenaha kaschana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashrayah. There is no duties to perform for someone who is basically situated in, this is the next word, sorry, the naiva tasya kritenartho na kritena kashana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kashidartha vyapashrita. Naiva tasya. And here he says, Name parthasti kartave trishu lokeshu kinchana. Nana vaptam avaptavyam varta evacha karmani. There is, I have no duties to perform, and in the future verses, Krishna speaks about, even though I don't have, many times people only take this verse to prove that those who are practicing spirituality, they have no.
I told you log in again.
Hello? I think, excuse please, somebody is on. So then here Krishna speaks about what? Even if there are no duties to perform, still I perform the duty. So in the Gita, it is very clear in regards to, even if you don't, still you have to perform. Next one. So, and therefore, we are understanding, trying to understand what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to understand the laws of life. And how does Krishna give that laws of life? Like when you study, I remember there was a conversation between the biblical scholars and Shakespearean scholars. It was on the BBC. So they asked this question, what is the difference between Bible and Shakespeare? The Shakespearean scholar, they said, the difference between Bible and Shakespeare is that Bible tells you what to think. Please understand, Bible tells you what to think, but Shakespeare tells you how to think. शेक्सपियर आपको सोचने के लिए मजबूर करेगा, विवश करेगा, बेटर वर्ड. एंड बाइबल आपको विवश करेगा ऐसा ही सोचने के लिए. So therefore, placing Bhagavad Gita, to forcible thinking, this is how you have to think, right? That is not allowed. Again, the Abrahamic scriptures, they're very clear in regards to, you have to follow. Questioning is considered as offensive. But in the Bhagavad Gita, not only you can question, you can say, I don't want to do it. Arjuna was told by Krishna, Yatechasi tatakuru. I have spoken the entire Bhagavad Gita to you now. Now it is up to you what you want to do. Right. So therefore, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to give us the seed, not necessarily fruit. Purpose of Bhagavad Gita is basically to give you the what do you call it as, sorry, not purpose. What is Gita? The purpose, the Gita basically give us the seed, does not give us the fruit, does not give us the fully grown tree. आपको बीज दिया जाएगा. Therefore, I recommend, till you attend one time, go through simply the verses of Bhagavad Gita, one after another, one after another, one after another. Read from first chapter to 18th chapter. First, just go through the verses. Don't worry about what you don't understand, but you'll find the connection. आपको connection दिखाई देगा. You'll find the connection, and when you find the connection, then when you slowly read the commentary, the purport, your understanding will go much deeper. So therefore, most of the poetries, the storybooks, they're focusing on the rasa, the mellows, the poetry, different kinds of emotions. There could be sadness, there could be love, there could be compassion, there could be heroism. But what is there in the Bhagavad Gita? None of these things are there. The compilation of Gita is kavya, but the content is not necessarily kavya. There is a poetry in regards to its compilation. We can sing the verses of Gita, but the content of the song is not necessarily connected to emotions. It is not fictional. It is so real. It's just beej. When you take the seed, you don't realize what seed is this unless you are a good farmer. Others will only realize when it starts growing. Therefore, Gita is a Kavya Shastra, and it is also Shastra Kavya. उसके कंपाइलेशन में काव्य है और काव्य में शास्त्र है. Sometime when people compile, Sai Deepak, you must have seen one of his conversations. Somebody asked him, whom do you think 3 people should be thrown out of this country? I am not saying he said. He said Barkadat, Ifran Habib, and Romila Thapar. One of the stupidity Romila Thapar presents, that Yudhishthira Maharaj's compassion, Yudhishthira Maharaj's reluctancy, Yudhishthira Maharaj's goodness came from Buddhistic idea. Yudhishthira was inspired by Buddha's idea. Even if you see historically, even if you see shastrically, even if you see from whatever resources available, Mahabharata comes first, then comes the connection of the Buddhistic literature. But she is reversing, and she ruled the narrative of Ityasa for a long time. Therefore, a lawyer gave a very good answer, throw them out. Because their narrative have been very dangerous. Right? So therefore, Gita is not a fictional. We will not get into the realities of whether Gita actually happened or not. Another question is raised. What if Gita never happened on the Kurukshetra? Yes, for us, I 100% believe it happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But I cannot 100%ly prove that it happened there. Please understand this. 100% I believe this happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, but I have no clue how to prove this happened. All right. So if somebody comes to you questioning about the credibility in regards to its itihasa, we have to say, do not worry about it. Let us park it. Let us do car park about its historical reality, but understand its philosophical substance and what kind of philosophy it is connected to life. Not one thing what Sri Krishna is speaking from the philosophical perspective can be illogical and unreasonable. And whatever you feel in regards to worshipping him, worshipping the devatas, put it in the car park. We can actually deal with that also, right? So therefore, the reason why Gita was there to tell, to give the seeds so that we can water it and experience that Gita becoming a tree. Next. Ha. The Gita, basically, it is the Jivana centric. There is a life and there is a mukti. Right. There is life and there is final emancipation. But the purpose of Gita is not about how to emancipate yourself. That could be your life's goal. Mukti can be life's goal. Salvation could be life's goal. But Gita is talking about life itself, how to live in this world, Live. Of course, there is some touch of how to attain perfection, but that is not the goal. Arjuna was not confused about it. Arjuna is confused about living here, performing his duty. Therefore, battle-driven event or life centered around conflict. What is it? It is not only about, yes, the battle-driven event. The Kurukshetra war brought back again the original foundational concept of life centered around conflict. हमारा जीवन धर्म संघर्ष है, इस संघर्ष से भरा हुआ है. Therefore, conflict cannot be avoided. There is no peace unless there is the ability to strike internally, externally. Right, today I was speaking to somebody. They said, what is this concept of animal sacrifice? बोले हम लोग तो रेगुलरली बलि चढ़ाते हैं. बलि चढ़ाना एक कॉमन फैक्टर है. The person whom I was talking, highly educated, but quit the job for practicing spirituality. ऐसे लिए बलि चढ़ाते हैं. Somebody's speaker is on. Can you stop it, Vrindapriya Gopi Devi? Yeah. So, therefore, the point is that when you give up something, उसकी बलि चढ़ गई. Right? आपने जब भी कद्दू को काटा, when you cut the kaddu, the white god, that is also sacrifice. Jivo, jivasya jivanam. Even for you to practice spirituality, somebody has to work hard for you. Somebody has to make money for you. Or you work hard, make money, and take a retirement, and all your experiences, what you had earned, what you learned, suddenly you quit it. Uski bali चढ़ाया गया. Right? एक बड़ी पार्टी होती है, there is a big party. So while functioning in that party, there are many people, they have to sacrifice their family to entertain somebody else. So Bali is not simply animal sacrifice. It's a gradation of violence. It cannot be avoided. And therefore, Krishna chose Bhagavad Gita right on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Did not choose it, happened. Because Arjuna was in bewilderment. Next. So what is the purpose? There are 4 Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma is a universal law, universal duty, right? Dharma, characteristics. Like one person has many duties. Please understand what is dharma. You could be a son, so you have a duty as a son. And son will become a husband, he will have a duty as a husband. Son was a student, so he has a duty as a student. Son is a citizen, so he has a duty as a citizen. Son is a student in a school, so he has a duty as a student. Right? You are a passenger while traveling, so you have a duty as a passenger. Could be small amount, but that is duty. So imagine how many duties we are performing most of the time seamlessly. Sometimes there is a conflict. So dharma means when you are able to integrate all the duties, all the laws which are pervading, which are influencing us, when we submit to all these laws in integration, as much integration as possible, that is called as dharma. That is called as dharma. Right? You have a duty to your own self. You have a duty as a conditional self. You have a duty as a constitutional self. Constitution means Atma. Conditional means I am a boy, I'm a girl, I'm a professor, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. Then there is also psychological reality. And there is a sudden, there is because heavily raining, you're walking rather than going in a car. Emergency duty, right? So that is called as dharma. When it is integrated, it is dharma proper. When it is not integrated, that much less it is dharma. It is leading towards adharma. Understand simple. Any questions? We have made a WhatsApp group for the next 20 session. You'll be able to post your query even on the WhatsApp to the admin. And then when you post it, then what will happen? That the churning will happen. I will send voice messages so that we are connected from this week to next week, so that there is a continuous flow. So therefore, three, that is dharma, and that dharma also gives rise to artha. Artha is meaningfulness. It is not only wealth generation. Artha is not synonymous to money alone. Artha means anything which is resourcefulness, money, land, relationships, health, friendship. All this is considered as artha. When you have dharma and artha, then what do? Then there is kama. I went to one school in a village. It is run by some sadhus in a remote village. And this man told me, इनके अंदर काम को जागृत करना है. I need to awaken their karma. Only when there is karma, then there is an ambition. Only when there is an ambition, there is an enterprising desire, hard working. If they don't see anything, then their life will be gone. So therefore, dharma, artha, kama is an external reality forever existing for everybody. Dharma, artha, kama is an external reality, and moksha is an internal reality. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deal with dharma, artha, and kama. But as I said, because it is profound, it is an integrated. Krishna also speaks about the ultimate destination. But he does not make that as the goal of his Gita. That could be the goal of life. Gita's purpose is not mukti, even though one can find discussion of mukti in Gita. Antakale cha mamiva smaran muktva kalevaram. Again, there is a contradiction. Sometimes people say, or if I keep thinking about something which is not connected to spirituality, then I will come back to this world, taking certain physical self, again that Janma Mrityu Jara Vidhi Chakra. Read the third chapter. As I said, when you read the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, then you'll get the clarity. Therefore, Arjuna asked this question, Krishna, I'm part of this world. I don't live in a jungle. I don't live in woods. So how do I can find divinity in matter? How can I find Brahman in Vyavhara? Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu. Arjuna asked that question. So therefore, Gita's purpose is a journey of Jiva to act. Krishna was telling Arjuna to act, and Arjuna was telling Krishna, I will not act. I will not function. And what kind of function is that for Arjuna? Right? Killing his own people, his relatives, his family member. Not because he's mad, he's crazy, or he wants to prove his point. He wants to give everybody faith. Those who does not accept my faith, I will kill them. No, Gita doesn't get into that zone at all. To kill people because you don't believe what I believe. You know, Gita's journey is to make you act. Gita's purpose is to make you act. Gita's purpose is to deal with the three modes, three purusharthas. Gita's purpose is action beyond simple contemplation. I was sharing with somebody, and this was told to me by one counselor, one professional counselor with a lot of spiritual values. She said, if you see those who come to the path of spirituality, not everybody, many of them basically are very self-centered people. I was shocked to hear that. He said, how can you say them self-centered? They are all the one who give the knowledge. He said, I am not saying everybody. He said, many of them, when they come to the path of spirituality, their foundational background is about one's own self. My degree, my job, my growth, my travels, my this. While doing that, they become materialistic. But they get tired of materialism. Somewhere they hear about the path of spirituality. They become very fascinated. They become very excited about it. So they remove from matter to spirit, but the foundation of selfishness continue to stay. That does not go away. Right? If Arjuna was so strong about not fighting, that's the best thing to do. Focus on your own life where no Himsa, no Gandiva, no Karna, no Dronacharya, no Bhishmadev. Why to take all that risk? Right? But Krishna basically, when Arjuna expressed his confusion, he said, in this act of shooting, for what? Dharma, governance, not because they you have to make them believe in me. Therefore, Gita's purpose is action, and is action. Right? We have to find contemplation within action only. Therefore, there is a concept of karma samadhi. There is a concept of karma samadhi. There is a concept of jnana samadhi. There is a concept of ashtanga samadhi, and there is also the concept of bhava samadhi, which is connected to bhakti. Next one. So what does Gita do? Gita calls for yoga. What is this yoga? We have many definitions about yoga, but here one definition we will choose. What is that yoga definition? Next slide. Yeah. So yoga, there are many yogas. Some call it, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about 4 yoga. But there are some people called Japa Yoga, Raja Yoga, Prema Yoga. Anek naam logon ne diya hua hai. Different kinds of name have given. But what is this yoga means? In the Bhagavatam 3rd canto, the description of Prajapati's daughter marrying to Dharma is there. He had more than 13 daughters, about 17, I think. 13 were married to Dharma personified. Next slide. And one of the daughters' name was Kriya. So Kriya married to, can you go next one? Kriya married to Dharma. So what is yoga? Is Dharma plus Kriya is equal to yoga. So therefore here, when we talk about yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, unless we integrate all the 4 yogas, when we study 6th chapter, you cannot do Bhakti Yoga, you cannot do Jnana Yoga, you cannot do Ashtanga Yoga, you cannot do Karma Yoga alone without the integration all of the 4. Without the foundation of yoga. The foundation of yoga means dharma and kriya is equal to yoga. Therefore, do not confuse with goal of life and Gita's specific targets. You can note down about your questions. Do not confuse with goal of life and Gita's specific targets. Krishna was not interested in giving Arjuna perfection of life on the battlefield. Krishna's goal for Arjuna in regards to Gita is to give him action in regards to life rather than giving up action in life. Because we have to understand this, when you and me die, it is not that the universe stops functioning. I become redundant, but the world continues. Repeatedly we have discussed this. Mother, father, brother, wife may quit this world, but motherhood is eternal. Wifehood is eternal. They may get different names, right? Because nowadays people don't want to marry, but the principle will remain. The motherhood will remain as it is. The teacherhood will remain as it is. Therefore, one is connected to personal life. I want mukti. And other is connected to legacy, as important as mukti. If you don't find good mothers, if you don't find good fathers, if you don't find good brothers and sisters, what will happen? You cannot have the ultimate destination. You cannot have immediate responsibility. We will become na ghar ka na ghat ka. Right? It will be a trishankus. Therefore, let us not confuse our self-goal of life and Gita's specific target. Next. How to study Bhagavad Gita? Now this is one of the greatest mistake we do. We quote out of context. If you go back to those previous verses, what we discussed. Now there are more verses in the Bhagavad Gita wherein Krishna emphasizes for a right reason to worship the Devatas. 3rd chapter from 10 to 15. And there are less verses where Krishna stopped you worship from the Devatas. He doesn't stop. He says, what happens when you worship the Devatas? The question will be raised, which is right and which is wrong. Right? In one place, Krishna says, Matra Spurshastu Kaunteya, learn to tolerate. And other places said, Arjuna, how will you tolerate the insult when people will speak ill about you? In fact, Krishna is making Arjuna be responsible because he will not be able to handle the criticism of the people. Therefore, if you read one chapter at the cost of other chapter, if you read one verse at the cost of other verse, or if you make a quick judgment, oh my God, we don't need to do any work because Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, somebody is spiritually advanced, he has no duties to perform. You can speak on that verse, how there is no duties to perform, without reading the next few verses, wherein Krishna says, even though I have no duties to perform, Still to set an example. Yad yad acharati sreshtas tat tat evetaro janaha. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Therefore, we are not reading a chapter. We are reading 18th chapter, 18th chapter. And after hearing 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is the Gudakesh. He has studied all the philosophies. He had studied the Vedas 3 times. He heard Bhagavad Gita straight from Krishna. After the war was over, Arjuna met with Krishna and he said, Krishna, can you speak the Gita once again? Because I forgot. I'm not able to recollect it. It is not that Arjuna was not able to recollect the content of the Gita. He was not able to recollect, according to Arjuna himself said, the principle of Bhagavad Gita. What do you think Krishna did? Krishna chastised Arjuna, no doubt. But then he taught Anu Gita to Arjuna, which has 1500 or more verses. More than 1500 verses are there in that Anu Gita. If I don't know Bhagavad Gita, even after reading Bhagavad Gita, I would say no, then Krishna will take it to Anu Gita, which is 1600 verses. Right? Unless we study the bhakti of Bhagavad Gita, the 12th chapter is the chapter of Bhakti Yoga. If you don't study the chapter of Bhakti Yoga and suddenly jump into something else, there will be a contradiction, there will be a conflict, there will be a problem. Right? So therefore, when you study, as I said, go through the entire verses, you will find some bewildering thing. Oh, what is this? Oh, what is that? From that perspective. But if you keep on reading, slowly, slowly reconcile. Therefore, never read only one chapter. You can read one chapter so that you can read the next chapter next day. Every verse has integration with other verses, which we spoke about. The verse Bahunam Janmanamante. Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Madbhavam Agata. Many in the past have achieved perfection. And in the next chapter, what does Krishna say? That Manushyanam Sahasreshu. So one, he is talking about the rarity of spirituality. And other is talking about assuring person who is doubtful. What will happen to me? Will I? It's just like in the Ramayana we see Hanumanji, when he went to jump across the ocean, he was boastful to another level. That boastfulness was not basically, which is what do you call it as that boastfulness was not of not doing something. That boastfulness was giving confidence to all the kapis. I can do it. I can go to the heavenly planets and extract nectar from the devatas. Right? That same Hanumanji, when he comes to meet Mother Sita, he meets her. She's shocked and surprised. She's amused that how could somebody do like this? And she asked him, is it possible for anybody to do like this? Hanumanji said, everybody. My dear mother, everybody can do it. There is no soldier in the army of Sugriva who is lower than me. If there are anybody, all are equal and all are superior to me. So therefore, the Gita is not simply a fact-centric. It is not fiction-centric. It is an impact-centric. There is a purpose why Krishna is using something. But when you see the context, you see the text, and you see the integration, it is nothing but everything moving towards integration of your physical self, your ego self, and your constitutional self. Next one. Yeah. Gita is not standalone. A Gita is a part of greater dialogue. And what is the purpose? What is the reason? So that Arjuna stands and fights. It's not allowed to park your stand. Standing means not parking your bicycle stand, car stand or stop, car park. Before people used to call, cycle stand, scooter stand. But here, this stand is basically making a movement. Right? Somebody said, you see the trees? Even the trees, when they are stationary, they are basically not growing. So the wind is their friend. When the wind comes, the entire tree shakes. If it is a banyan, if it is a the banana tree, if it's a the arc tree, it's a betel nut tree, it's a cashew tree, what they shake. And even if the rooted banyan tree does not shake, the branches, the trunk of the tree moves. Therefore, standing and fighting, the beautiful integration is there. Smaranam and Sangarsha. There is a Smaranam internally, like, this amazing police officer, Arvind Inamjarji, told very beautiful point of this integration. When he became an IPS officer, he had to go for a case to deal with a murder case. I'll not get into the detail. He had to go for the murder case. And 2-3 days they did not find any clue. And they had gone in red bus. IPS officer going in a red bus, right, in those time. And no clue, and they had no place to stay. They had a tent put up, and the mosquitoes were biting, and some of the cops had diarrhea. So Arvind Inamjari went to one temple, Hanumanji temple. And he told, hey, you are an original researcher. You are the original person who did the research operation of Mother Sita. You also had to struggle, but you got a clue, and then you found where Mother Sita is. Kuch to clue do mujhe. Right? The prayer was there along with the prayas. And when he came down, he said, I got a clue. Not the direct evidence. He got a clue. He got a seed. So here, the way we are going to teach, the way we are going to learn Bhagavad Gita is basically giving you that clue. Because I or anybody for that matter cannot give you the complete conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. It is like I am giving you a mango. But can I give you the taste of mango? आपको मैं मैंगो हाथ में दे सकता हूं, लेकिन स्वाद नहीं दे सकता. आपको मैं I can give you information, but I cannot give you understanding. Right? Understanding is a lifetime journey. And therefore, the Upanishad says, the student and the teacher both stand in the presence of Vidya. The vast Vidya Devi के सामने खड़े होते हैं और दोनों कहते कि हम दोनों विद्यार्थी. But one knows that I'm a Vidyarthi, student, and other does not know that he's a student. Student does not know he's a student, but teacher knows very strongly that I know that I'm a student. Right? When Arvind Namjarji prayed, he came back, he got one clue. And through that clue, suddenly like an eureka experience, the entire case was solved. So who was responsible? Is it Hanumanji responsible for helping him? Or is it his hard work? So Gita will tell you to appreciate the hard work. Be grateful that God helped you. But without the help of God, you cannot break. And without the endeavor of the living entities, we will not get the hathoda to break, the hammer to break. Breaking will happen because of the will of God, because of his time factor. But breaking has to happen from us only. That is the integration. Next. So how to apply Gita? First is to know what is it. Unfortunately, we see that more than the Christians also, a lot of people who practice the Arabic religion, right, they know Arabic language. No, I'm following certain websites. They speak Arabic language. They know how to read and write Arabic language. Indian Muslims also, they may not know about what is India, but they will tell you all the stories. Generally, I've noticed it. The number of people in India who actually understand the characteristics of Mahabharata. Who is Dhritarashtra? Who is Duryodhana? Who is Arjun? Who is Sugriva in Ramayana? Who is Angada? These things are, painfully ignorant about this. Right? Oh, Gita is a religious book, and Arjuna first war against, Kauravas were not so bad. What is this? How could we study Bhagavad Gita? It's such a war-mongering book. Right? So therefore, the first principle is to know there is a Gita, then to study properly, then to reflect, then to contemplate, then to discuss with other student, then debate, not slander. And then when you're discussing, then you feel machitta madgata prana bodhayanta paraspara. When that discussion happens, you start feeling. Then apply, and then be yourself in that or that. Right? Gita is not simply a word, it's not verses, it's a complete integration. And when you understand this, you feel it. When you feel it, you apply it. When you apply it, you become that. Just like a sports person, or Sachin Tendulkar. Somebody asked, what happens when you go into the ground when there are lakhs of people? Or Rahul Dravid, one of them. They said, we don't hear that. Is it possible they can't hear? Of course, the sound is there, but the enjoyment of playing is so great, the sound does not bother, does not matter to them. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, is connected to your purpose also. When you make your purpose very high and your passion very one-sided, your passion is very focused, your purpose is very vast, has to be very vast. When that your purpose is very vast, then even if you fail in that, it doesn't matter, because even the success is limited to compared to what is required. Imagine I want to serve my nation. What can I do? However sincere, however powerful, however whatever I have, all the resources used to remove people from poverty, still there will be a poverty. So should I stop? No. I should not be attached to eradicating poverty completely. My goal should be such a large goal it is. Whatever level I've achieved, that is my perfection. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is teaching to Arjuna how to perform his duty, knowing very well that all the duties what you perform will not be reciprocated. But still you do, because the purpose is great. The purpose is very great. Understanding is very great. Application is very great. When we do that, then it gives rise to greater growth in our life. And that growth itself become a stepping stone for achieving perfection in life. We'll stop here, and next week, for those who are joining the Mahabharata class, we will begin with the psychology of Vyasadeva. But here we'll stop and understand that what we reflected, what is Bhagavad Gita, then what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, how to study Bhagavad Gita. We covered the seed principles, and eventually we will study how the seeds are given to us and how we grow them. So next week we will take some more introduction based upon certain nyaya. There has to be logic, how Bhagavad Gita is formulated. And after following that, as we study, you will be courageous to study on your own. All right, you will enjoy the mango on your own. Doesn't matter who tells you. Even if Krishna tells you, you will say, but still I want to taste it. Therefore, again, one principle is, don't become a student of somebody like a teacher teaching you through a guidebook. A guidebook destroys your personal creativity, which is your eternal reality, full of knowledge, full of bliss, full of eternality. Therefore, it is better to receive only the seed. With our watering it, with our protection, it will grow into a dense, beautiful tree, giving many fruits so that we can enjoy, and give it others so that they can take out the seed, plant it, let it grow, and then enjoy the fruit and give it to next person. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Or if you don't have, the group is there. Then you send it to the admin and we'll work on it.
Prabhu, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Prabhuji, I am a little confused, Prabhu. What exactly is dharma, Prabhu?
So next week will I gave simple definition. I don't know whether you came early. Dharma is basically integration of all the duty. Dharma is integration with the laws of nature. Dharma is integration to locus sneha, relationship with the society. Dharma is also your own connection to your own self and your selfless connection to Paramatma. When you are able to integrate all these duties as smoothly, as seamlessly as possible, then you become a yogi. As much you are able to do less, that much you are having a complexity. And when you defy it, I don't want to do this, I don't believe in these things, right? So that starts becoming adharma. So the Bhagavad Gita focuses on dharma and adharma rather than focusing on faithful and faithless. Because even faith in the Bhagavad Gita is three kinds: sattva, raja, and tama. You will not find that in other religion. Faith is faith. They don't discriminate between a good faith, bad faith, and passionate faith. But Bhagavad Gita does it. Bhagavad does it. Therefore, dharma is also one of the wife of dharma is Shraddha. Only when Shraddha is married to dharma, that gives rise to Shubha. That gives rise to Shubha. So therefore, we will discuss dharma because dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta shivutsava. Yada yadai dharmasya glani. Imagine, right? Krishna appears to establish dharma, but we know Shraddha. I believe in God. We should have great Shraddha. But you are not the first one. Even I had this question. What is it? But Krishna is saying yada yadai dharmasya glani. He is not saying Shraddhasya glani. He is not saying yogasya glani. He is saying dharmasya glani. Whenever there is dharma glani, you can be faithful, at the same time adharmic. You can be vegetarian, still be adharmic. And you could be non-vegetarian and be dharmic also. You could be himsak. आपके अंदर हिंसा है, you have a himsa, but still you can be dharmic. So therefore the whole concept of dharma and adharma is the foundation, and on top of that everything is built. So I'll discuss that. I give a simple, what makes you sustain, that is dharma. And there are many things which sustain. All our duties sustains us. And when you're able to integrate all this, then you are considered as very good dharmic. When you are not able to do, you are a struggling dharmic. One more last question we'll take.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dharma Pranam.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, you said dharma plus kriya equals yoga.
Yeah, this is the Bhagavatam.
And you also said that we need to integrate all types of yogas. So how do we connect this dharma plus kriya to yoga, where there are different kinds of yogas. What's the connection?
Yeah. So in the 6th chapter, when we study 6th chapter, if you study carefully, Krishna is focusing on yoga first. While focusing, because without discipline, Ashtanga yoga is nothing but discipline. Eating, sleeping, Arjuna is hearing that Yukta Hara, Yukta Vihara, Yukta Chestasa Karmasu. Regulated eating, regulated sleeping, regulated recreation, regulated work, regulated wakefulness. And he said, Tasmad Yogi Bhava Arjuna. Arjuna in all condition telling very clearly, Tasmad Yogi Bhava Arjuna. Arjuna, you have to be yogi. So what is that yoga? Dharma, again integration. And Kriya, when there is an integration of all your responsibilities, you believe, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a dutiful citizen, I'm practicing spiritualist, I'm a person from the colony where I stay. So all this is what? Dharma. When all of them integrated, that again becomes very concentrated dharma. But how do I make that dharma into yoga when there is action? Right? When that action is there, therefore Ashtanga yoga, discipline has to give rise to karma yoga. With knowledge, there is jnana yoga. And that knowledge and that discipline and that action also helps you to evolve your heart. I given many times this example. Drinking water is karma. Drinking water with discipline. Three things happen there suddenly. You are just drinking water whenever, wherever you're sitting, however you are drinking, anytime, खाने के बाद में, खाने के पहले, बीच में, however you are doing. That's a karma. But when the understanding comes how to drink water, how to is jnana, exhibiting how to is ashtanga, right? Discipline is there. And actually drinking the water with discipline, with proper understanding, karma yoga. And part of that knowledge that water is the grace of God, grace of Bhagavan. Then what happens? Then your heart swell in devotion. So can any yoga stopped in this, and can you stop it? It is not possible only. Right? You have to have a discipline, that is Ashtanga yoga. You have to have a knowledge, that is Jnana yoga. You have to act according to that knowledge and discipline, that is Karma yoga. And these all give rise to gratitude, that is Bhakti yoga. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita, talks about evolved process, but more about integration of the yogas. So I'll stop here. And as I said, any questions are there, more questions? There is a facility for our group so that we can keep in connect with studying Bhagavad Gita, getting the best of the seeds for you. We are not here to give you fruits. We are not here to give you a garden. We are giving you seeds and the space where to plant your seeds. So you enjoy the whole process of turning that seed into a fruit, turning that fruit into whatever you want to do, juice, and eat that fruit or however you want. Thank you for your kind attention. We will meet again. For those who are joining for Wednesday class, they can join, or we can see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.